Welcome to Making It in the New Music Industry. We've got a very special guest with you today. Please welcome Eric Zayne to the show. Thanks for joining us, Eric.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, man, we're hearing about the exciting stuff you got going on with this music, man, parlaying it into a big campaign with a worldwide superstar. We want to hear all about that. But if you could, first of all, give us a little bit of background, where you grew up, how you started, making music. Who were some of those artists that really influenced you to want to do this?
My main influence was Prince. I grew up in the Congo, Africa. There wasn't a lot of connection to the North American world, but my brother was a DJ. He was always interested in music, and he used to play me the classics all the time. He used to play me Prince, Michael Jackson, James Brown, Anita Baker. So I had an early musical education, with all the greats as a kid. And I remember the first time that I heard Prince. He had the record on, and he left, and I was always hanging out in his room as the little brother, and I put on the record, and I was like, this is amazing, who's doing this? And I've been obsessed ever since to see someone that could do so much and play all the instruments and create his own music and just, be limitless. And that just became my North Star. So, I grew up in the Congo, Africa. When I was a kid, when I was about 12 years old, a war erupted, and I got evacuated from the Congo by myself. It was the last seat on the plane that, they were rescuing people, and my two brothers were in the back protecting my parents from, militias that were coming in and trying to just kill everything. And, my dad said, put the kid in it. There was only one seat left. So that sent me on a whole journey because I couldn't speak to my family for a long time. The next time we all saw each other was 10 years later. So the only thing that I had, that was keeping me moving forward was Prince, because it was attached to my brother, who I loved. It was a sense of safety. It was a sense of home. So, my whole life, I just kind of just modeled myself after the greats as much as I could, and just learned how to play all the instruments myself, mostly because I didn't want to wait for anybody to do anything for me. I wanted to get all this music out of my head that was like a radio frequency that just wouldn't stop, just coming through. And I just had to figure out how to do it. So I just learned how to play piano, bass, guitar, drums, produce, sing, and just do everything I had to do to get this music out.
Well, that's amazing. It's a testament that music is a universal language, and no matter where you are in the world, this artist in Minneapolis,
I know.
in his home studio, is reaching you and affecting your life. That's incredible. Yeah, the one thing about Prince is he was full spectrum, full circle. I mean, it was the fashion, the look, the concepts, the logos, the stage show, the musicianship, and he always demanded such high caliber from his musicians. He was one that would go play a 3-hour show, knock an arena completely dead, and then go do an after party and play another 4 hours, in a club. And
that's always what I've modeled myself after, that excellence where, it's like every part of the experience is high caliber. Like, not only is the music inventive or emotional or it speaks truth, but the quality is high. And then I want to be the kind of artist that people are excited to come see live. When they see a show, it's a show. It's something that has a meaning. It's something that just really delivers at the end of the day. So, that's been my framework since I've been doing music.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's one thing to, like musicians or like the music, but it's another thing to look up to somebody who's self-contained. He makes you, take it to another level. It's like, I don't need any other musicians in the studio. I play 12, 20 instruments. I can, recite hundreds of songs, at a moment's notice.
Right.
And really, like I say, he was blazing a trail like no one else. I mean, Warner Brothers in the record industry couldn't keep up with him. He was putting out music at such a pace. They're like, no, slow down. You can't put that out. And that's when he started having major problems. Like, what are you telling me? I can't put out my own music,
Yeah.
You guys are profiting from it.
It's interesting because we live in a time where technology has been so, it advanced so much that you can create amazing music through loops and through, a lot of the time, the stuff's already done. Like, you go to Splice and then you can download like song starters that just sound like everything else. But I think that there's a purity about being a musician, really connecting to an instrument, and like I want to be the kind of artist that has all these crossing lines, that's able to speak producer, that's able to speak engineer, that's able to speak vocals, like the larynx, and I want to be able to speak guitar, and I want to understand the whole thing. So I'm just not this milk and cookie artist, as I call it, where it's like, here's your milk and cookies, like we'll tell you what to do. I think that as musicians, we have a sort of inner compass that's very important. We have like this guidance, and the more we can fine tune our language with with the inspiration, the more we can really do something special in the world. This is what I want to do.
Well, that's great to hear, because you really create your own destiny. If you're just the musician and you're waiting for a band and waiting for somebody to write the songs and waiting for some supposed record deal and waiting, you probably are going to end up just waiting, But if you're a
Right.
self-starter, trailblazer, and you're out there using, the tools that are available to independent artists, you're pressing the buttons. I call it planting seeds, because you never know where those seeds that you're planting are going to start sprouting. And obviously you grew a oak tree, with this project, and we want to talk about that. So without further ado, tell us about, this song that, the #1 movie star in the world, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, heard, loved, added to his playlist on Spotify, and now wants to make it part of his, viral campaign, with this, underall clothing line. You can only imagine how many millions of people that's going to reach. Tell us how, you got on his radar, and any of the details involved.
So I was introduced to his wife, Lauren Hashian, who's always blew my mind in the studio. I'm just like, how are you so good? Like how are you doing these intricate melodies and triplet rhythms and stuff like that? She's like, oh, I don't know. She's so humble. She's so cool. And she's basically saying, a good friend of mine who I write with a lot, called Nas Tokyo, fantastic artist. You should check her out too. She's really, really a star. She's like my sister, so we work together a lot. And she's like, I really want to introduce you to Lauren. So Lauren and I met, and we had a bond, and we wrote so much music together. And we were working on a soundtrack for a movie. And this song, I had the music already done. I've had this music done for probably 2 years now. It was just sitting on my hard drive, and I was always like, this is going to be something special. And the kind of soundtrack we were making was this kind of Jack White, song, which is close to the kind of music that my voice lends itself well to. So, when Lauren came, I'm like, hey, how about this? So I played her the song, and we instantly got inspired to just come up with this melody. And at this point, it was just in demo form. I had just sang it, I played all the instrument, and it was just in completely demo form. And she went home and played it for Dwayne, and Dwayne instantly fell in love with it. He was like, this is great. I'd like to use this for my campaign. And she didn't want to tell me for a long time, because she didn't want to jinx it. But eventually she told me. And what was interesting is that because it was in demo form, I had to quickly put it together and mix it and find a cover art and finish all the instrumentation and master it. And it all happened so fast, like probably in the period of 3 days. And here it is out now. And I'm really excited. Like, it's getting an amazing response. We're almost at 60,000 streams in 2.5 days. And, everyone's talking about it. I'm just really proud of it. I'm proud of what happened. And,
Well, that's amazing. You definitely captured lightning in a bottle. Tell us the title of the song and the inspiration. What the song, what the lyrics are, and what inspired you to make it.
I think that you can only be a balanced human being if you deal with the shadows and the light. Like, you can't always try to be good. You have to just play with the darkness a little bit, because it's part of you. That's what makes us the yin and the yang. And that's in a way what this song is about. Like, sometimes, like growing up where I did, and the way that I did, I had to raise myself since I was 12 years old. So I had to face life head on. And you know, I've been in do or die situations more than you want to know. But what it did is that it taught me how to dance with the darkness a little bit. And sometimes, you know, when you actually learn how to balance out your shadows, then you know, you gain more light out of it. So, you know, it's not about pretending like, you know, you're this or trying to be this perfect human being. Is sometimes you got to dance with the darkness in you. Sometimes, you know, you just gotta go where, you know, you discover things about yourself. And that's what the song is about. It's like, it's about dancing with those shadows a little bit. It's like coming undone. I'm coming undone. You know, until Judgment Day, I'm just going to be a human being and just try my best to, you know, face everything that I am.
Well, that's awesome. You know, it's all about that indie spirit these days, you know, of just grabbing the bull by the horns, doing what you believe in, and just putting good energy out there. Obviously, you know, you put good energy out there, you know, with his wife not knowing what or where it was going to happen. And, you know, she just, you know, presented it to him and he recommended it, you know, in a way. And that energy comes back, you know, karma is alive and well. You know, we always say that no matter what happens along the way, success wise, you got to stay humble and hungry. And you've
Yeah.
probably seen that with some of your artists, you know, even Prince, like I say, he'd go to a small club and do a 4-hour, you know, after party. No one was paying him, you know, he did it for the love of it, you know, and he stayed
Yeah.
humble to the music. His gods, you know, Little Richard and Chuck Berry and, you know, Miles Davis and, you know, Little Richard, you know, all the greats that he looked up to, you know, Jimi Hendrix, they were all channeled, you know, through his music, and he stayed humble
That's
in their
exactly it. It's
eyes.
like, if you make it about something else, if you make it about the fruit, if you make it about the success, if you make it about fame, then you're not making it about the music. If you, you know, I try to get to a place where I'm so excited about the music itself that I forget about what it's going to do, you know, because from everything that I've learned, like an old friend of mine told me, it's about the rub. It's about the rub inside yourself, right? So it's like, if it rubs right inside of me when I hear the track, then there's going to be people out there that are going to feel the same, right? But if I'm just aiming for something that just is shiny and sounds good, you know, it sounds like it should, then I feel like that's just a product that's very different than a message.
Yeah, very, very true, very true. Now, obviously, there's a lot of different routes, you know, you can go with this, but how much are you embracing, you know, all the indie tools out there to retain ownership of your masters and control your publishing and, you know, the rocket ride that this or any other song could take, you're really in control. And at that point, you know, if you were to make an admin deal or some type of distribution deal, you know, it'd be favorable to your terms because of the momentum that you're building.
I'm interested in owning my music and being able to put out music. Like my plan now, I have all these great songs ready to go, and I've been holding them back until there's a bunch of them ready to go. And Coming Undone is the first one. I want to put out a new song every month and a half, and I'm really excited about what's coming out. But I didn't want anybody to tell me when I can put it out and how to put it out. I produce my music, I write my music, of course, with other people as well, sometimes by myself. Um, but I want to be in control of my career because um, the whole point is to create you know, an audience that resonates with what you make. And today we have the tools to do that. Sure, it's a jungle. There's just a lot of different avenues, you know, to get out there, and it's very intricate on the right way to do it. So I try to surround myself with really smart people in their field and just be a student to all of it so that I can do it properly, you know. But I definitely want to be in control and get it directly to the people. That's what excites me the most.
Yeah, well, it certainly was what Prince, you know, was all about in his later years. You know, it's like, okay, you know, I'm a known entity. I don't need to, you know, have somebody tell me what I should play or what I should write about or when it's coming out or, you know, who my fans are. You know, it's
Right.
something personal. You know, there's nothing like the bond between a great artist and fans that are they're loyal. You know, they're receptive to, you know, so much of their creativity, whether it be musically or video wise or, you know, live performance or merchandising ideas and all that. That's what really, you know, excites an audience. Tell us
Yeah.
about some of the ideas you have, you know, beyond the video that you made, you know, to kind of brand yourself with merchandising and a follow-up single and, you know, any type of imaging.
I'm actually working on a video right now for the song. And it's a really cool concept that my really good friend Tony came up with. He's an amazing director. And, you know, we wanted something that's unique because a lot of stuff, what's tricky about music videos is you know, most things have already been done. So how do you do something new? But imaging wise, like I just really want to find a frequency that feels authentic. Who I am is what you get, you know, and it's just like, I just never want to be a person who is a product, you know, hey, we're going to put you in this and do that. I'm like, no, I want to be exactly how I am and resonate at my authentic frequency so that when you hear the music, it feels real. When you see me, you believe it. And and the audience then is actually completely targeted to that frequency. And that's, you know, that's basically how I want to aim for it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, obviously, you know, Prince left us much too soon, but who are some of the other contemporary artists out there today that you admire and look up to and respect?
Oh man, you know what's tricky about today is that because we live in a world that's so playlist that I don't remember a lot of the names. But if I was to look right now on my Spotify, I have this. I should actually share this playlist with people. You know, part of my issue is that I spend so much time in the studio constantly creating that I don't think of anything else. But you know, there's so many great artists. Like I love Zoo, you know, ZHU. Like I love his style. It's so unique. Jamie Liddell is really dope. Um, I love Frank Ocean. I love Kanye West. You know, Pharrell. Um, you know, it's all these people that are just really authentic creators, you know, that I resonate with. Like when I was a kid, I loved Beethoven. You know, I learned how to play classical by just listening to what was on the speakers and reproducing the notes. You know, it's just like you can feel when it's something real, and you can feel when it's something that's just created for fame. And that's always the people I resonate with.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of tools out there, you know, these days between the podcasts and the documentaries and the interviews online, the YouTube videos. You know, there's no excuse, you know, for somebody to sit there and, you know, wait for something to happen. You know, they're not utilizing the tools, and
Right.
even though you can't guarantee success, you can definitely affect it. You know, and you
But that's the
certainly
thing.
did that.
What is the definition of success, right? It's just like, is it being able to have an audience for your music and sustain a living? Is it to have a Grammy? Is it to, you know, like what is it, right? Because I think if someone is hyper focused on really creating something that's within themselves and listening to the inside as opposed to aiming for the outside, the rest is going to take care of itself. Like all the things that have happened to me, like The Rock, you know, like last year I had this huge song that came out and was added all over cheap commercial with Jeremy Renner and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it just happened out of the blue because I remember I was so excited in the studio making this music. I was jumping around and just, you know, so into it. And then everybody else felt it and these things happen. So I try to focus on that mostly.
Yeah, well, that's tremendous tips, you know, for all of those artists out there. And you know, this success story, getting the song, you know, in Rock's world and in this campaign is certainly nothing that you can predict or know, you know, that it's going to happen. But you know, you aligned yourself, you know, with good people, put good energy out there, made authentic music, you know, and I'm sure that's one of the things he heard is this is a real artist, you know, he's writing his own lyrics, you know, he's coming from a place of self-empowerment, you know, and that's obviously something big to The Rock, you know, and I understand he's a, you know, incredible businessman, you know, he's got a heart and soul, you know, as large of a giant he is, you know, he's really, he's down to earth. He knows where he came from and his family struggles and everything along the way. So it's only, you know, the beginning for you. But we appreciate you coming on the show and sharing this success story. We look forward to having you back on one of the great podcasts here on Podcast Future, you know, and talk about, you know, your new EP or album or next song or any of that. You know, shout out to Shauna and everybody on your team. You know, we thank you so much for joining us. Eric Zayne has been our guest. Check out his song on the Under Armour commercial, and certainly, you know, more coming, you know, from The Rock. Where can they find you on your socials or web?
You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on iTunes. You can find me on Apple Music. Just type in my name, Eric Zayne, Zayne, Eric, E-R-I-C. Eric Zayne, and the song is called Coming Undone.
Well, Eric, it's only the beginning. Thank you so much for joining us on Making It in the New Music Industry. Can't wait to do a follow-up with you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. You too.